Welcome back, investors, to the Investing with Our YouTube channel for another portfolio update. Today's video will summarize week 3 of May. So if you look at the portfolio right now, it was down 2.8%, so just under 3k for the week. If you look at the beginning of the week, it started off quite well and at its height went up 1.6%, but on Wednesday there was some news where US government bonds had a tricky time. So on Wednesday, the US sold the debt of its $16 billion auction on 20-year treasuries with a 5% coupon, the highest interest rate for 20-year bonds since the maturity was reintroduced in 2020. So the market wanted a bigger yield for these bonds, which caused equities to drop. As you can see, this is what happened. And immediately the whole market dropped over 1%. And the other thing that happened was at the end of the week, Trump again, with these tariff shenanigans, said that he will impose a 50% tariff on the EU. Now, if we look at historic tariff announcements from Trump, it's usually a mechanism to try to get people to get onto the negotiating table. And I believe that's probably what he wants. So for me, this represented a buying opportunity. So I invested a bit more into my pie. So I generally invest in my pie when I see there's an overall downturn in the market. So I like to buy a blanket coverage of stocks. And on top of that, I look at individual opportunities when I see there's been some market news on a particular stock which I like or I own and I want to add to. But because the EU tariffs have affected the whole market, this is why I wanted to add some more money to my pie. So what is in my pie? So the biggest holding which I invest in is Google at 12%, Microsoft at 10%, Amazon 9%, MasterCard 7%, Visa 7%, Nvidia 6%, Tesla 6%. So I would say these are some of my bigger conviction holdings. And I've got quite a few companies at 5%. So that includes Apple, ASML, Broadcom, Costco, KLA. And then I've got a few, or I like to see it as a diversify my risk. So I've got a few more companies at smaller holdings. These are all at 3%. So AbbVie, Centrica, Imperial Brands, Elgen, Meta, which I believe is a very undervalued stock. I might actually increase the percentage weighting on that at some point. And Rio Tinto. So I deposited £500 to buy this dip, as it were. And these are the purchases that were made in relation to the weightings within the pie. So if you've liked my content so far and you want to follow the journey, see the ups and downs of my portfolio, please, if you can, subscribe, give it a quick like, and so other people can see it and they can see the value. In terms of overall news and movements within my holdings, one of the bigger gainers of the week was Centrica, which was up 6.19% even after the market turbulence. And the main reason for Centrica going up was because it sold a significant stake in a gas field for £215 million, which the market approved of. But overall, as with a 2.8% drop in the market, most of the companies didn't do so well. So I like to show the negatives as well as the positives of investing, because this is part and parcel of the game. Stocks must go down for them to go up. It can't just go up in just one straight line. It doesn't work out that way. So there were some negative impacts on my portfolio. So let's have a look at that. So one of my newer holdings, HIMS, which I made a video on last time and I had quite a lot of conviction to buy, it dropped 18%. And the main reason for that was HIMS is getting competition from another healthcare service provider called Cigna, which will be allowed to sell the Novo Nordisk drug Wegovy for a cheaper rate. Now, I think this will impact HIMS, but also the HIMS announcement wasn't an exclusive partnership. So the market would have known that there will be other companies selling this product. HIMS historically has never missed out on its guidance, has said that it is going to be forecasting $750 million in sales for weight loss products overall. So I don't think in the long term this will have that much of an impact. And also it will spur HIMS to get on the bike and make more partnerships with other companies to overcome this competition that it's going to have just generally in the market anyway. So that's the main reason why HIMS dropped. I still reiterate the fact that I strongly believe in this company and I think it's gonna do well in the long term. But in the short term, it's down quite a bit, but that's fine. The biggest thing in investing is patience, I believe. If you buy good companies, you hold them long enough, as you can see with the rest of my portfolio, there's a lot of green, and that's because I've held the companies for a while, and this will continue with HIMS, I believe. Now, on a more positive front, as you can see, my holding in Google is getting closer to even. In fact, earlier on the week, before the tariff announcements, Google was actually in the green for me. So I was up 2.44% of my overall holding. And that's because Google had a very good investor presentation in the middle of the week where it showcased its advancements with its AI tools. And I was very impressed by it, and so was the market, which saw Google shares go up from 164 all the way up to 176. And I think long term, this is my biggest holding, and there's a reason for that. I think we will see this stock at $200 in the medium term, so I'm really excited about that. Now, one company I did want to talk about was MicroStrategy. So if you look at Bitcoin price, it's at an all-time high. But then if you look at MicroStrategy, it's dropping. And that's because the head of MicroStrategy, Michael Saylor, is using essentially shared dilution to buy more and more Bitcoin. And this is affecting this company's share price. Now, I had a bigger holding in MicroStrategy, actually. It was double the size. It's my second biggest holding at about £9,000. And the reason I halved it was because of Saylor's strategy of continuing to buy, not letting the stock breathe, and getting the benefit of Bitcoin price shooting up. And going forward, I don't know what I'll do with this holding. I'm very bullish Bitcoin. It's my biggest holding overall that I have. And as you can see, the price of Bitcoin in general hit all-time highs this week at just under $112,000. But I don't like the way MicroStrategy is selling so much. I think it would be nice as an investor for the share price to grow, for him to buy Bitcoin periodically, and just give us investors the share price growth that we're looking for. I think I'm going to look at trimming the holding and then maybe putting it elsewhere, because I'm just not a big fan. I think overall long term it's going to be really good for the share price, because Saylor's just buying up so much Bitcoin, and Bitcoin value is going to go up, I think, by a lot in the long term, and he's going to be sitting on a gold mine. But in the short term, I think there might be better opportunities within the market for my funds, but we shall see. Let's see how it goes. But yeah, quick summary of my holdings. So Google down 3%, MicroStrategy down 2.28%, Visa up 13% for a 1k gain, Imperial Brands up almost 60% for a 3k gain, MasterCard up 7.31% for a £560 gain, Meta up 5.42% for a £368 gain, Tesla up 54%, which is due to be on course to deliver its robotaxi next month. It's going to start off very small. Elon Musk said they're going to start up with 10 to 12 cyber taxis out there, and then to see how it goes, and then with the view to launching out on a bigger scale. Now, if this goes well, I think the share price of Tesla is going to rocket up, and the signs are looking good. But Elon has historically been, what shall I say, a bit optimistic when it comes to what's going to be happening with the company, so we shall see. But overall, up 54% on this holding for a 2.1 gain. Microsoft up 13% for a £692 gain. Carnival up 55% for almost 1.6k gain. HIMS down, as you saw, down 18%, but again, I've only held this for a week, and I have good long-term thoughts about this stock. Amazon up 4% for a £142 gain. Nvidia up 53% for a 1.1k gain. LGen down 2.72%. We're due to get the LGen dividend coming up soon, and that should be a big one for me. I think north of about £200. AbbVie up 18% for £469 gain. Centrica up 44% with the stake sale in the gas entity for a £908 gain. Rio Tinto down, as I always am, 14% for £464 loss. Not many losses here, but this is one of them. Broadcom up 60% for a £933 gain. Apple down, probably one of the biggest to be impacted by tariffs, down 1.72%. Costco up 25%, and KLA and ASML down 6.6% and almost 20% respectively. So a quick recap of the week. So down 2.8%, It happens. It's all part of the investing game. Do not be panicked by these kind of things. And if you can, buy more in stocks that you believe in. And that's what I'm going to be doing. Let's see what the next week holds. If you can see, for example, for the month, I'm up 6%, so almost 5.7k. So sometimes you'll get bad weeks, and of course you get good weeks as well. So please like, comment and subscribe, and I'll see you on the next video.